In this segment, we're going to focus on two parts of your professional resume, the objective and the education section. As we mentioned earlier, objectives or summary statements aren't always required in professional resumes, but we're going to cover how to write a great one. Then we'll move on to what is included in the education section. Let's take a look.
If you're going to include an objective on your resume, it goes directly under the heading where all of your contact information is. So what is an objective statement? It's a short section that's usually written as a sentence fragment that identifies your goal. It should briefly highlight skills and qualifications that you bring to the table that relate to the position you're applying for. And that's something important to keep in mind. Resumes are fluid documents. They are not one size fits all. You wouldn't use the same objective statement on a resume applying for college as you would a resume that you're using to apply for a job at, say, Kroger. So always be sure to tailor your objective to what you're applying for. The Purdue Online Writing Lab, which many of you are more familiar with as OWL, suggests using some of these instant objective statements as practice. Once you feel comfortable with what you want to include, you can then write your own unique objective statement that fits the position you're applying for. Let's look at a few examples. Here we have an objective statement for Mary Mason. You can see all of her contact information is in the header at the top, and now we have the objective statement. Now, this is using a template from Microsoft Word. Here you can see in her objective statement, she highlights some of her strengths. She's a motivated high school student. She also highlights her leadership skills, and then she identifies exactly what position she is in for. So a motivated high school student seeking to utilize my leadership skills as a manager for the Comment Zone. This is a very strong objective statement. Let's look at one more example. Here is another resume example that's not created from a template. This was just created by Callie Comet. Her objective statement is for applying to a college or university. So she states that she is a driven high school student, so she's highlighting her drive and then exactly what she's looking to do. She's seeking admission to the University of Cincinnati with a concentration in civil engineering. So again, these are very specific. You always tailor your objective to the exact position you're applying for. Now let's move on to the education section. Here are some of the things that you should include in the education section of your professional resume. The name of the schools you've attended. The name of the schools you've attended. Next, let's move on to the education section. Here are some of the things that you should include in your professional resume's education section. First of all, you should include the name of any schools that you have attended. But notice that you shouldn't include any middle school information. This should be high school information only. You do want to include the city and state if they're not part of the title, and you also want to list your schools in reverse chronological order. And we'll look at an example of that in just a moment. Other things to include are the date or expected date of your graduation, and then you'd want to include your GPA as long as it's above a 3.0, any honors or AP courses as long as you've gotten a 3 or above, your ACT scores if you would like, and any courses that are related to a specific major if your resume is for a college application. So let's look at a few examples of education sections on these resumes. This resume example shows a student who has attended 2 separate high schools. They have attended Mason High School, and you'll notice their expected date of graduation is 2027. But then you'll also notice that they attended a high school before they came to Mason. And so here we have the dates attended for that high school as well. So this is a good example of reverse chronological order. The previous high school is listed below the current high school. In this case, they listed their GPA because it was above a 3.0, and they also listed some AP and honors courses that they had taken. Let's look at the other example of an education section. This student has only ever attended one high school, Mason. You can see the dates that the student attended this high school, a great GPA, date of graduation, and you'll notice that these classes correlate directly to the major that this student is applying for, since this resume is for a college application.
If you ever have any questions about creating any part of your resume, don't be afraid to ask a teacher. They would be more than willing to edit, give suggestions, and help you create the best resume possible. We like to see you all succeed, and we want to do what we can to help. With that in mind, let's continue this resume series with the next two sections, experience and awards and honors.